Why?
And redirect it to time.is so that all the podcasters can start going to time.piss. That'd be funny. It's a funny joke. Because the word piss is funny, Alex. With the amount we talk about pooping and farting on this show.
It's valid.
Never.
I'm allowed to have pissed.
That's all valid.
Oh man, I wonder.
Top level domains.
We should do the clap so that way I don't have to restart my recording and cut out the piss talk.
Oh, it's fine. I cut that out anyways. Unless I throw it in at the very beginning as a...
That's what I'm saying, is if you decide you want that...
Oh, don't worry. I already have it on the... if we need it.
That's true.
All right. Well...
Yeah, just let me know when you'll want. I'm just looking for top level domains.
Oh, I'm ready
Allison,
whenever.
you ready?
Yep, I'm ready whenever.
Let's go 30.
Okay.
Sick.
Nailed it.
That show's weird.
I had the same thought for some reason.
I introduced Karen to Cutthroat Kitchen the other day. So that's my favorite cooking show.
It's a very good cooking show.
I think that's why I don't have the same aversion that some of you do to like the difficult gourmet makes episodes where she's like stressed out, is because I love watching people in the kitchen be frustrated.
Well, Cutthroat Kitchen like goes to another level.
Exactly. And it's like, it's dangerous, and they had to stop the show because the insurance people were like, no, you can't do that again. And like cooking shows in general, but like that one especially, where they sabotage each other. So watching Claire struggle in the kitchen is like, oh, she's doing it to herself. She's doing her best.
Piss.health is available, Pat.
Oh man.
Is dot time? Could you get piss.time?
Oh yeah, that's good.
I'm looking.
How is piss.health available? That's a good one.
You need to like become a urologist and get that domain.
We recently started listening to him a Bim Bam again, so I have piss on the brain.
No, time is not a valid top level domain.
What?
It will be someday. I'm gonna wait until piss time's a thing. That'll be the day.
That is.
Oh
man,
lifestyle.
I wonder piss.zone might be available.
How about piss.dating?
Nope. Nope. That's nope. I mean, I think that piss is a very funny word, but I don't actually.
Oh my god! But what about piss.party?
Now that's funny.
Or rehab.
Pistar.
No, again, no.
This is like a.
There's. Sorry, we could go on. We could go on for this for a while, but there's piss.sucks.
That's the opposite of true.
All right.
It's rules.
I love that there's a dot sucks.
Dot sucks is pretty good.
Okay.
Who do you think? Wow. I wonder what's at Trump.sucks. It's probably some really biting resistor stuff.
Let's see. Nope, server not found. It doesn't exist.
Well, I know what we could start by Trump.sucks and link it to our podcast.
I don't know if everyone would be smart enough to make the correct association there.
I'm tempted.
I saw I'll say this, then we can actually start the show. I saw a incredible tweet yesterday that was sharing a study of people and their hand washing habits in the US, and it said did you see that one, Andre?
Yes.
It was like 36% of men say they don't wash their hands, or that they do. Yeah, only 36% of men wash their hands, and only 63% of women, or 60% of women or whatever, wash their hands. And then the person retweeting it was like, so what you're telling me is 96% of people wash their hands, so we're fine. And it was very funny. And everyone in the replies was like, that's not how math works. And the person was like, yeah, it is. You add the percentages together. It was so funny. Just this epic, like, troll of all these people whose math brains started imploding because they were fully aware that what they were doing.
Yeah, that was so good.
Now I just found a list of like some of the sabotages they used on Cutthroat Kitchen, and I'm like looking through all of these.
I was so proud because we watch a lot of cooking videos, or I watch a lot of cooking videos, and so by association, Karen does, and she voluntarily put on an Alton Brown cooking video on YouTube one day. I was like, oh, okay. It was just like him making some random shit. Yeah, hell yeah. Good eats, baby.
Ain't nothing wrong with Alton Brown.
Ain't nothing wrong with Alton Brown. But yeah, they had to stop making that show because the insurance was like, nah, fam.
I honestly don't doubt that. Like, the fact that show got made in the first place is like amazing.
Yeah. I never saw anyone get injured, but all right.
No, neither did I, but I can't imagine being an insurance person being like, yeah, this seems fine.
Yeah. All right. Everybody ready?
Absolutely.
What is this, 110?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to a very special Leap Day episode of Gaming Fix, episode 110 on February 29th, 2020. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite top-level domain. I am joined today by Alex.
I like .sucks.
Me too. Allison.
Just a reminder that I still own McClunky.net, and it redirects to our podcast website.
Did you get like Gronk.droid?
Gronk droid?
Gronk
droid is very good if you were like a Star Wars and a Patriots fan.
Isn't that what they're called? Am I thinking of something wrong?
They're
Gonk.
Rob Gronkowski is a football player.
Same thing.
No.
That is
no.
Pat.
They're not the same thing. Gonk droids would be terrible at football. Utterly terrible. They're so slow.
But they'd be so cute at it.
Would Gronk be a good droid?
Yeah, probably. He's good at a lot of stuff. I don't see why droids would be any different. To be clear, I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm just being honest.
You're a Star Wars fan. You need to correct my Philistine understanding of the America's favorite sci-fi.
Yes. Is that America's favorite sci-fi? Probably.
Star Trek.
I mean, I'd say Star Wars is bigger than Star Trek, but
look, if 23% of people are Star Trek fans and 23% of
and 43% of Americans are fans of sci-fi, so
yeah,
that's the only sci-fi.
The math checks out.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, how's y'all's Leap Day gonna be?
It'll be good because we're playing some crazy RPG in a few hours.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're gonna do that right.
I'll probably touch on that too. I should talk about that a tiny bit.
We'll
talk about it for real after we could talk about it for real later. But
yeah,
thanks for.
I also don't know if any of you guys are also big 30 Rock fans, but there's a very good Leap Day episode of 30 Rock, and so I'm wearing the blue and yellow, which is like a thing from that episode. So
I actually don't. 30 Rock is like, I have a lot of respect for the writing because I think it's very well written and the people on the show are very funny, but like that's a show where I find it like kind of abrasive to watch, so I don't really watch it, but I have seen that episode and I like that episode.
Oh, if you want to talk about abrasive to watch, just you wait.
Yeah, no, it's very, very cozy for me to watch. So like, I totally understand how that is, but like, I've been a fan of it forever, and so it's my sitcom. Like, I'm having a bad day, maybe.
I get it.
Rock, So
That's how I am with Scrubs.
It's got the best
Fuck
ending
yeah,
of
Scrubs.
any TV show ever.
The ending of 30 Rock is very good. Yes, I would say.
Do they all blow up?
No, better.
no.
Okay.
Scrubs had a good ending, and then they decided to make more of it,
They made another season. Yeah.
which was not good.
Ain't that how it always goes?
No, some shows they're just done.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For all of
even
its
if
faults,
you,
Friends had a good ending.
but even if you don't watch 30 Rock, I would recommend checking out the Leap Day stuff on YouTube. There's a supercut of the in-universe movie Leap Dave Williams, which is a play on the character Leap Day William, which they also created. The movie in the in-universe movie stars Jim Carrey and Andy McDowell, and it is extremely good.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten our designated non-video game talk out of the way, we can jump right into whatever Alex brought today. What did you bring us, Alex? He muted himself. We've lost him.
I hope you're ready for some real biting, awesome video game talk for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Just kidding. Of course I didn't bring games.
Wait a minute.
What have
I don't
done
know
to
about
myself?
20 to 30 minutes.
He's going to give us a scene-by-scene rundown of all these movies.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No, it will not be that long because I don't have
This
that
is
much
how
to
he
say.
wins.
I was going to say, if you want to do 20 to 30 minutes on movies, I can do 20 to 30 minutes on the Netflix Drive to Survive season 2.
Oh, no.
If you want me to
The
do
race to
20
the
to 30
bottom.
minutes about the movie I saw, please go ahead.
What movie did you see?
Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh,
I will talk
right.
about it.
Right.
I actually do want to see that
I do want to
based
see it as
largely
well.
on your assessment.
It is extremely good.
But yeah, I didn't really have time nor drive for video games this week because it was a busy one. So in the evenings, rather than using brain power, I watched movies. The first of which came on Sunday, and that was the much talked about Uncut Gems starring Adam Sandler. So I don't know, have any of y'all seen it yet?
I
Want
need
to.
to eventually,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen it yet.
I hate Adam Sandler. Not as a person, just as a funny man.
I would say in this movie, he's the least stereotypical Adam Sandler
Yeah, that's why
that
I
he's
want to
ever
see
been.
it. Because I like him as a dude just fine. Like I just don't think he's funny. So the fact that this movie is not really funny is why I'm interested.
Yeah, like it has moments, but it's not like the Adam Sandler yell a lot and then do stupid stuff for laughs kind of style.
Yeah, that's
Like,
the thing I
it's-
don't like.
It's like the laughs are coming from very stupid jokes and weird scenarios. Like it's a very dark comedy in that way.
Yeah, which I think I would like more.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I think it's a really well-made movie. Like I think the direction and like all the scenes, like they all have their place, and it's worth it. Yeah, it's well put together. That being said, I really didn't like it.
That's kind of what I've heard from most people is that it's just so stressful to watch that it's not enjoyable at all.
Yeah, it's stressful. Like it's kind of just chaotic in its stress, but like for me specifically, it's the fact that I would say at least 80% of the dialogue, like not even exaggerating, is yelled.
Yeah.
Like there's very little dialogue which is spoken, and there's lots of points with people just yelling over each other, and it got to the point where I couldn't pay attention to what people were saying, so I actually had to put on subtitles because it was just so chaotic and so much. It was just like, yeah, okay, I'm getting a headache just trying to concentrate on this. Let's just put on subtitles.
Worked for Parasite. Maybe that's how the movie should have been presented originally.
Yeah, that's valid. But I think it's a really good, objectively good movie. But yeah, I don't know if I loved it. The ending was interesting. I obviously won't talk about that because none of you have seen it. But yeah, I think it had an interesting last 15-ish minutes that were better than the rest of the movie. So that's about it. If you want for Uncut Gems, there we go. There's our 20 to 30 minutes on Uncut Gems.
Yep. All right.
The next one, because we do cheap Tuesday movies, my friend and I, we went and saw One Birds of Prey.
Woo.
So is that is one that I know some of y'all have seen.
I saw that one.
Andre, didn't you?
No,
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
I don't even know if it's out here.
Do you know if they changed the title in other regions? Like,
No idea.
yeah, because apparently
Probably.
They've done the whole thing where they're like changing it to Harley Quinn : Birds of Prey in
Right.
some.
yeah,
Because
yeah, I think that's happening in the States. I don't think it's yet happened here. But yeah, because people saw Birds of Prey on the marquee and are like, "The hell's that?" But then you add Harley Quinn, they're like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, no. So that one, I went in with zero expectations because I haven't seen a DC movie since the release of The Dark Knight, whatever year that was, like 2008 or something. So I'm definitely not up to date on DC movies. The last I'd heard was Suicide Squad was bad, and
Hey, that is Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad.
You almost stopped at the perfect time. I happen to think The Dark Knight Rises is very good, but other than that,
fair enough. I have no opinion, but
the Superman movies are fine. They're inoffensive. Henry Cavill's good as Superman.
Yeah, but I don't know. Birds of Prey went in with zero expectations because I hadn't even really heard the reception about it at that point, and came out thinking, yeah, that was pretty good. It was, I think the way I described it in our group chat was that it reminded me of like the 90s Batman movies in the way that it's just kind of fun and doesn't take itself too seriously.
That makes me want to see it more.
Yeah, and then but it's also R-rated, so there's lots of swearing and like body horror. And
I saw a GIF of the scene where spoilers, very minor spoilers, where she like jumps on a dude's legs and they snap and the wrong way. Yeah. That's one of my like major like icky triggers is knee stuff that really bothers me.
There's some more knee stuff in that movie.
That's why I haven't seen it actually. It's because that stuff makes me really uncomfortable.
There's definitely, I'd say, even more of the like body horror type thing. But I personally really liked it.
Looks great
because it was just like over the top fun. Doesn't take itself too seriously, but is just like, okay, here's this character who didn't get the best movie with the Suicide Squad. And let's just make a fun movie with some interesting characters. And it's just generally great. And the one thing I'd also say is that since it's very explicit, it was written and directed and basically everything by women, like you very much see in terms of things like how the characters are framed, like there's a very big difference between how Harley is framed in Suicide Squad versus how she's framed in Birds of Prey,
which is that's important, I think, and that's part of why I'm interested. I like the violence stuff. It looks, a lot of the action looks awesome, except for knees and elbows bending the wrong way. It's just a very specific trigger for me.
No, that makes sense. The last big fight scene is like one of my favorite fight scenes I've seen.
I think bending everyone's knees the wrong way.
I think, I'll get over it and watch it.
You'll know when those scenes are coming.
But and they make me wince, but I'm not gonna like have nightmares about it or anything.
What you could do, Pat, is you could come to Japan where they have edited the movie down to a PG-12 rating instead of an R.
Oh,
interesting.
It's coming out March 30th.
But Allison, to your point, when Kathy Yan's name came up at the end, my movie-going friend and I was just like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense.
Right. Just the way that it's like, so it's shot, you're just like, it's very palpable that you're like, oh yeah, you're not objectifying these women, which is extremely good. It
very explicitly takes shots at white men, which I thought was pretty funny.
My review of it on Letterboxd, which is a movie review app and website, is egg sandwiches are greater than men.
That's fair.
Which was that space.
What?
Fixed dot space.
That's where the review is. Yes,
that's where it should be.
That was literally it. Whereas like that's the moral of the movie, and
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
pretty much it.
I
But
think you could just headline your review
Spoilers.
of Men that way. It doesn't even have to be about the movie.
I would probably also agree with that. But yeah, anyways, I know
I like you dudes. But
Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey is good. I think it's worth seeing. And
I think it's. Oh, sorry.
no worries. I was gonna say I just think it's worth seeing. I don't really have any caveats to that. It's good.
I think it's interesting that when I really liked Harley Quinn in the animated series, like in the 90s, which
Her origin.
yes, I was going to say, I believe that's where she came from, was that show.
And
I really liked her there. And at that point, she wasn't really objectified.
No.
And
especially her costume was
right.
like,
And people and dudes were like, this character sucks. She's not a real comic book character. And then as they started to objectify her and make her into just a total sex object, then she became this like beloved character. And now that she has a movie that's closer to her roots as a character, where she's empowered, but better because she is empowered, because she was not empowered in the animated series. She was still kind of like being abused by the Joker in that series. Now that she has like a movie where she's like this sort of at the forefront and not being objectified and kind of, you know, doing her thing, men are back to hating her again, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
It just illustrates that like it was never really about her origin being in the animated series. It was just that you couldn't jerk off to her.
Hey, do I have a book to recommend to you then?
although
Invisible Women.
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a whole
yeah,
thing
for sure.
within Birds of Prey where people are like, oh, the women aren't like attractive, and I'm
They're
like,
also
dude,
gorgeous. So come
what
on.
I'm like, what the fuck? People
that's
are
also
saying
super
that
stupid.
about Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and
I
I'm
know,
like,
which is
I'm like,
insane.
and I'm like, I don't understand people. I don't understand the men who are saying that Mary Elizabeth Winstead isn't like gorgeous, because like she is extremely
Yes.
gorgeous.
Have
in this
not been
movie.
I heard
following
people
this.
complaining about her costume as not being like attractive enough. I was like,
And I'm like, what
is
the fuck
cares?
are you
Yeah,
guys
who cares?
Well,
A,
one,
who
who
cares?
cares? But also,
B, no. I'm like, A, who cares? B, like, what are we seeing the same person
Yeah,
with our
for sure.
eyes?
Also,
yeah, I'm with you.
with stepping back into your like, oh, her origins with the animated show, Batman animated series. They actually pay homage to that at the very start of the movie.
That's cool.
If you know what I'm talking about, Allison, because you've seen it.
Yeah.
Like in literally like the first scene, basically, they pay homage to that specific origin.
Very cool.
Fun.
Anyway, it's on my list for sure. I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'll get to it before it's at least out of the cheap theater.
Yeah, and with to finish the movie gauntlet, ending with another DC film because Sam recommended it and Andre seemed middling on it. So I was like,
It
well,
was fine.
may as well see it. And that was Shazam. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Is
That's
that one?
the movie.
Is that one that all of us have seen?
I haven't seen. I have no interest in seeing
I
that.
saw it.
Okay.
It's better than Batman versus Superman.
That's good because it needs to be
I would say,
valuable
I'd say like,
to society.
did you see Aquaman?
Me?
Yeah.
No, fuck no. See that?
That movie's all right.
No, they burned it. They burned it with Batman vs Superman, dude. They're not. I'm not gonna give them money for that shit. I'll go see a women-led superhero movie, but I'm checked out on DC movies until they
Aquaman's
redo
good.
their stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw Shazam without any of that context because I have not seen Aquaman nor
Yeah.
Superman nor any of that shit prior to
Yeah.
Harley Quinn. And
Batman vs Superman just made me very angry. That's
Yeah.
why I have a lot of hate in my heart.
so if we have Sam's reaction on one end of the scale, which is like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is an excellent movie, I love it, rah, rah. And then Andre's being the other end of the scale, which is like, I'm probably like right there with Andre. It was fine.
Oh.
It was
cute.
Yeah, it was really insubstantial and like, I don't know. It didn't really. There was a lot of points where I just started looking at my phone and doing other things.
It was like a callback to like 90s or like early 2000s movies that kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a superhero origin story, so it's, you know, got its own
I think
baggage to deal with that. But
that's the real reason is I'm pretty bored of origin stories unless they're weird.
It's at least one that you haven't gotten an origin story of in a movie like ever. So
Yeah.
that's a plus. And Stanley Tucci, pretty good.
I will say Zachary Levi was pretty excellent in that movie, though.
Yeah, and
the cast is good.
And I'm just generally rooting for him as a person. So I'm like good for him. But also, it was. I feel like it's one of those movies where I liked how kind of happy and cheerful it was, but some of it, like especially near the end, like the final battle, like veered very into cheesiness in a way that I feel like you might like, but I don't know if I necessarily dug as much. But.
Yeah, the conceit of the final battle, what it ends up being, I thought was a little silly.
Yeah.
My big beef with this movie is that
your chief beef?
My chief beef with this movie.
Beef, now we're talking.
Is minor spoilers. Billy Batson gets the power to become Shazam, or become this hero from a wizard named Shazam, and he says the guy's name to get the to become the hero, and then he says it again to transform back to his kid self.
Yep. They
didn't cast Sinbad as Shazam.
That would have been good.
That would have been very good. For those who don't know, there's like people who
there's a movie from the 90s called.
People swear that there's a movie from the 90s called Shazam starring Sinbad, when it is in fact Kazam starring Shaq.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
They should have cast Sinbad.
So to be clear, too, for those of us who suffered from that affliction, it wasn't that the movie was called Shazam instead and starred Sinbad. It's that there was another film called Shazam that starred Sinbad in addition to Kazam starring Shaq. Because I remember Kazam starring Shaq, but it's that I definitely, when that all came out, I was like, of course there was a movie called Shazam starring Sinbad. What are you talking about? So, and I'll bring it up every time.
Down Olympus.
Every time the Mandela effect comes up, I'll bring it up. Idle Thumbs had closed the book on it, and no one ever needs to make another joke about it, because they went through this whole conversation about Shazam, Kazam, and then at the end of it, Chris Remo was like, "Yeah, other examples include that people think there's this Pixar movie called A Bug's Life that came out in the 2000s." And then they just move on. Nobody laughs. Nobody comments on it. They just move on.
Sick.
It's so funny.
A Bug's Life was a PS1 game. Come on. We all know that.
Anyways, I don't know. Shazam is okay.
I think part of my aversion to it is when I see it, I'm just like, okay, so it's a superhero parody movie. Next. Like,
it's not.
Yeah, but it looks so intentionally silly in a way that I'm kind of
it's a teenager learning that he has superpowers suddenly, and
the like montage of like
means.
Let's test the super strength, let's test the flight, ha ha ha, he flew up and fell. That stuff is like an instant turn off to me.
I'd say that's like 5 minutes of the entire movie.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's 5 minutes I don't want to sit through, and it's what they highlight in the trailer, so like if that's the tone of the movie, nah.
I don't think it's a must see, but if they make a second one, I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. Whereas I didn't watch Justice League. But anyways,
that's it. Yeah,
that's more.
I installed some games. I installed Dreams and World of Horror, but did not.
Have not installed World of Horror.
Have not yet touched them. So,
well, I can tell you in a little bit whether or not that's actually worth it.
Right.
But in the meantime, Allison.
Yes. I played a mobile game.
Ooh.
So, how familiar I know Alex is familiar. How familiar are all of you with the whole Love Live franchise?
I know next to nothing about it.
Not at all. Is this like the Bang Pop, the school where everyone's a musician?
Sort of,
Bang,
yeah.
Dream, whatever?
I think that's made by the same people.
Is it like a dating sim?
No.
No.
Not
Is it a
at all.
gacha game?
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
familiar?
Yeah,
Are you
I don't
familiar
know
with
anything about
do you
what
know,
this
do
game
you know
is.
the Hatsune Miku rhythm game?
Yes,
Vaguely.
it's terrible. I hate that game.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
I
So
hate that
basically-
is it like
style of
Os?
game. It's so trash.
Is it like
Persona
Os?
games too?
So, what?
There's a Osu.
I don't know what that is.
Osu?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, that's like that's a free to play PC rhythm game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Love Live is basically to like not to like condense a whole thing down. It's like a big multimedia franchise now, where basically it's about J-pop idols that form their own groups in like within like a school setting. So like there's the first group was called Muse, and they started like years and years ago, I think, because of the thing, like about 9 years ago. And then they had an anime, and then they had a rhythm game, and then they had a second group that had their own anime and like continued into the rhythm game. And now they have a new rhythm game called the full title is Love Live School Idol Festival All Stars, which is certainly a mouthful, but that basically like takes the game and changes it a lot, because the first game is pretty much a standard rhythm game that definitely has some gacha elements to it, but it's a lot more of like the game is focused on the rhythm aspect of it. So I'm actually pretty decent at that game, and played a decent amount of it. But while the gacha for the characters definitely helps, like the big focus of the game is on the rhythm aspect, whereas School Idol Festival All Stars basically took everything from that and was like, how about we add like 20 more systems into it and make it like really kind of confusing, but it's so hard to describe. But basically now so this is a completely new game. The whole experience is a lot more streamlined, and the experience is a lot more like the production value is so much higher in this new game than in the old game, which is kind of fun, especially if you're a fan of the characters in the series. It's a lot more like for example, you often have like partner up with one of the characters, and now it's like full moving 3D instead of just like a picture, which is a lot more yeah. I just saw Andre's background, but yeah,
That's beautiful.
For people who can't see, which is literally all of you, in his video he put up the Love Life characters as his background. But anyways, so now instead of it being much of a rhythm game, it's a lot more of like an RPG type rhythm game where you have to level up your characters and you have to use the gacha elements like a lot more seriously to be able to do particularly well, which I think is both interesting and also kind of frustrating.
So to what end are you doing the gacha stuff? Like you're getting characters, and I'm assuming they're like different ranks, but what does like a higher rank character get you that like a lower rank character doesn't?
So each character has their own, like each basically when you set up a like to do a what they call a live show, which is like basically the rhythm game aspect of it, you set up a series of 9 of your characters, and each of them has different skills, and each of them has different like that could kind of pop off during the game, and each of them has different aspects to them that make it different. Like, so for example, one of the conceits of the game is that each time you hit, when you're doing the rhythm section of the game, each time you hit a correct note, your stamina goes down. So it's like there are certain characters that have higher stamina, for example, so that you can last through longer games. And then some of them can go for a higher score, and some of them have skills that can pop off that say like restore some stamina or add a percentage to something or something like that. So there's like a lot of stats in here. Also, each song has its own category. There's, I think, 6 categories, and each of the cards in the gacha like aligns to one and is better for that category. So it wants you to have a lot more characters so that you can kind of match up closer to each song. It's and then there's the whole like standard gacha thing where there are certain like characters that are a lot rarer than others. Like it goes from rare to ultra rare, which is the highest. And funny enough, the ones that are super rare are also the strongest cards. So yeah, it's a whole.
What are the cutest cards?
They kind of are. I mean, like those are the ones that have like the most interesting art and the most and like when they pop up when you get it through the gacha system, it does like this whole like there's like a full voice line with like text, and then it's like animated and it's like, ooh, we got an ultra rare, which is fun. So I think that it's interesting that they're really trying to make it more about the gacha aspect and like incorporating it, because basically I didn't like in the first game, I like wanted to get good cards for my characters, but it didn't really interact with my gameplay at all, because I would like basically just you just have to play really like it's a lot more skill based, which sounds bad, but it's like actually incorporating a lot of strategy in terms of you have to like practice with all of your characters, and there's a training mode, which is another thing, and then there's also strategies that you can do during the actual gameplay, which make it like super complicated. And I don't know if I've been playing it since it launched, which was earlier this week, and I still don't know if I 100% get all of it. But
well, it's always good to start these gacha games as soon as possible so you can get the most rolls and be at the top of the leaderboards at all times. But you're not spending money, so
I'm trying to avoid spending money. You could extremely spend money, so that's the thing that I'm kind of like very ambivalent about, is that I think it's interesting that they're incorporating kind of more of a strategy system, especially with the cards that you're using, and that they're making much more of a strategy. Like I think that's ultimately good. That being said, you could very, very easily spend a whole lot of money on this game, and that seems like, I don't know, like I get that that's kind of like it's a free to play game, so you understand that. But for example, like the first set that you can like in the store that you're like, oh, here's your special set. You're guaranteed one of the ultra rare things, and you get a bunch of these star gems, which is the currency.
Best value.
You can buy that for $85.
Wow.
Best value.
Wow.
Yeah, no, gacha games.
I was about to nod
up.
my head and be like, yeah, the thing you buy in Grand Blue is like $30. And I thought you were going to say something like $30.
Yeah.
Because it's like $30 for a 10-part draw like that, where you're guaranteed a super rare. But $85 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
It's got premium currency. Like,
and it's a
Grand
lot
Blue's
of
been around for a while, hasn't it?
quite a
Like,
bit of
yes.
premium currency.
Well,
To
so's
be
Love Live.
absolutely fair, and
but this is a
also
new one.
the other there's also ones that you can get cheaper. For example, like here's one where you are guaranteed an ultra rare and some of the paid currency and some of the free currency for $25. So there's cheaper packs, but you can extremely easily spend so much money in this game.
It's just still
that
so
it's kind of like absurd.
It's wild where we've gotten, because like I've been playing a fair amount of Grand Blue Fantasy and I like it very much. And I don't actually think I could touch on it a tiny bit because I don't think I talked about it when I was on the show before, because I hadn't really played it much. But I used to play mobile games and put a little bit of money into them, like not full on, like basically gacha games, games with random draw elements. But it was like I'd spend like $3 to $5 a month,
right,
spread out over the course of the month, like $1 here, $1 there. Things have changed in that space.
Oh,
like you got to
sure.
dump if you want
$1
anything
is
in these
worthless
games.
now.
Yeah, it's
right.
wild.
And that's one of those things where I don't want to spend necessarily a lot of money on mobile games, but I don't mind spending a few dollars a month, especially if I'm playing it every single day,
Sure.
which I've been doing. I've been playing it for maybe like a decent amount of time every day because I'm doing all the rhythm elements and I'm going through the story. And actually, I like the story a lot. It's with new characters, and it's genuinely pretty interesting. So I'm like, okay, I'm playing this quite a bit. I don't mind paying some money, but paying $85, there is no way I could ever justify that amount on anything.
Totally.
And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's and the fact that that's like kind of where they're calibrating it, like, oh, here's the high point is $85, and you can buy that for like multiple sets. Like I don't know, like it feels like they want a very specific kind of player who's like, I love these characters, so I'm going to pump all of my money into this game, versus the people who are like, I would like wanting more players who are like, I'll put $5 into it every month. Like, I don't know. And to be clear, this is like there are a lot of things like that in the like original Love Live game. Like I saw a pack once, like that was like end of the year, start the new year, right? Pack that was like $100. But
and I guess
like it felt less necessary though.
Yeah, so having $100 pack is whatever. That's every free to play game does that. It's when it's like you said, calibrated is a good term. The place where like the standard payment that you're going to make multiple times should not be that high.
Right.
That's
right.
absurd.
And you see some of the stuff that they're offering, like, oh, here's a pack that you can get for $8, but it's like, is that even like anything though?
It's like, it's worth like one draw.
Yeah.
Right. Basically. It's like here's one for $8. You get over the course of like, you have to log in for 14 days in a row. And each day you get 5 of their star gems, which 5 is like nothing. Like to do 10 draws in the gacha system, you need 500. For a single draw, you need 50. So it's like, this is basically like, it can get you maybe one draw. And then on the final day, you get a super rare ticket. Which will get you, which is like super rare is the like
mid tier,
like it's very mid tier. It's not,
it sounds like it's exactly like Grand Blue in the way the gacha
mid tier, and then it's like, oh, okay, so you get 65 star gems and a mid tier $8, and I'm like,
no, you should. I've been reading. You should definitely, at least if it's anything like Grand Blue, which it sounds like it is in terms of the gacha system, you should never spend money on the super rares. Those things are not.
No, they're worth it. I already like because of my the scouting, which is what they call the gacha system, I already have a bunch of super rares. Like, it's not exciting at all. Whereas like the thing that is kind of nice though is that the ultra rare drops are higher in this game than in the first game. Like in the first game, if you're just doing like the standard gacha, the ultra rares were measly 1% of drops.
I think that's what they're like in Grand Blue. They call
whereas
them
here they're
rares in Grand Blue,
5%. So if you're doing a couple of like if you save up so that you have do a 10 in a row gacha it's not like I already have 2 and I haven't put money into this game yet. So
man, I miss the free to play days of coin doublers, where you pay $2 at the start of your time with it, and then you get double coins forever.
Honestly, I wouldn't like I said, like I honestly don't mind putting some money into this. Like I am an adult. I have money that I can spend on mobile games. If I'm playing it every day and enjoying the story, sure, I will put some money into it. But it just feels like this currency is very much like, okay, we want people who are going to spend all these games because your favorite anime girls are in it. And I'm like, man,
the Grand Blue's standard drop rate is 3% for super rares, which is their highest tier. And then they have events like all the time running that double it to 6%. So it could be worse.
Every so often in the other game, they had like events where you could do things to increase your rank of a chance of getting it, or there would be various events where it's like pay to get into this. So like it's not I don't think it's not that this where the shop is right now it's necessarily you're always going to have this. Like I feel like I'm going to be able to play this game and still enjoy it, but the fact is like it's very much a double-edged sword, especially when it comes to the gameplay and how to do well in like higher ranking things in the songs. Like if like, for example, like for playing a song, you can do either beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And if you want to do anything higher than beginner, you need a pretty good team.
That makes sense.
Part of it, like you can like part of it is like leveling up the things, which is like I think I don't know why you'd need to spend any money on that, but part of it is also like having those better cards, which is like where I go. Yeah, I don't know. I'm ambivalent, or I'm conflicted about it.
Gotta log in daily, get your draws, and then eventually you'll have a good enough team. You don't have to spend money on this.
Nice thing.
Now they have daily goals, so like they very much are like you are going to log in every day because there's daily goals, there's weekly goals, there's like login bonuses. Like previous
that's a gotcha game.
Whereas in the previous game, like there was definitely login bonuses, but here it's like, oh, you want a daily, like you have to do all of your daily tasks, which I know is definitely a gotcha thing, but at the same time, I'm like, this game wants you to be your like all game.
Yeah.
You know, in a way
that's what all these gotcha games want now. They want you to buy currency so you can refill your stamina meter. They want you to buy currency to draw. They want you to buy multiple currencies. It's a lot.
And I the other thing is that I feel like the rhythm game component in the other game is more fun to play. So I think that like most of the aspects of this game are better, like in terms of the like in terms of the production value. I like the story better in this one, but like the rhythm game is a little bit less fun, which is a little bit disappointing. Like there's more strategy there than just being good at a rhythm game. But at the same time, I'm like, it'd be kind of nice if you brought back the old rhythm game system, though. But they won't.
Well, I'm going to
Those
force us to
gacha
move on
games.
because we have talked about this gacha game for far too long and the gacha mechanics.
Oh, we
And-
100% have. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's okay, but oh my god, gacha games. They're insidious, they're evil.
There they are.
Speaking of insidious and evil, card games. Pat, once again, you come to us with a card game.
The thing I was going to say is the most frustrating thing about Grand Blue is they offer you a 10-part draw with a bunch of extras for $30 for your first week. And it's like, I'm actually at a point now where I'm like, I like this game a lot. I would spend $30 like once on it, but you can't buy that pack anymore because I didn't get it in my first week. So like now I'm like, well, I'm not just going to buy a 10-part draw that doesn't come with all the other shit. So the nice part is you can largely get through the story without spending money, but I would like another super, super rare. Anyway,
Wait, you're telling me you didn't re-roll your initial draw over and over?
Actually, I got a good initial draw. That's part of why. Okay. But I didn't look at the guides until after I had done it. But I just want the one account. Grand Blue is also interesting in that instead of they will never ever release an app to the North American iPhone store because so many people from the West just play the translated version like through the Japanese client and through the Japanese browser links. So they know that they couldn't actually get people to play it because anyone who wants to play it is already playing it on the Japanese like quote servers, which are about that, but very easy to access for. Oh, it's so easy to make an account and play it in English.
No, I just mean like, you get on the App Store, you get like that top grossing spot or whatever, and then you get more people playing. But
I don't know. I think unless they migrated everybody, like made it all one big group.
Can you not just... Oh, I guess if it's on the Japanese server, sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't start over at this point. I just would continue to play it. Again, it's so easy. It's actually better than an app because it sits in a Chrome tab on my phone. So I don't ever have to load anything ever. It just like is there. It's instant. So just look up a guide if you want to play Grand Blue Fantasy. It's pretty safe to not ever have to thing. I'm glad that I can return this to Alex because I've had to listen to so many all of you talking about movies and anime that I don't care about.
Things nobody else cares about. Well, let me tell you about all the latest Destiny 2 news that broke this week about next season.
I feel like this week is all of us sharing stuff that nobody else really cares about.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know, I'm joking too. I actually do care about, I'm on an anime kick right now, so I do care about anime.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, I won't talk about this card game for too long because I talk about a lot of card games, but my dad has been raving about this card game, like sending me long, like walls of text. And I mean that with love, like messages about how much he loves this game. And that's something that I also do. So I'm not offended by it, but I finally got around to installing it and trying it last night. And it is called Kards with a K, the World War II card game, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a Hearthstone-esque style card game, but using World War II as its sort of source material, which certainly if I could see if you find that offensive, it's valid. I am very interested in World War II and the horrors of it was a horrible thing. But there's a lot of interesting war games about it too. And this is actually a pretty well done, uses the aesthetic pretty well and the concepts pretty well and stays away from the war crimes parts of World War II and the awful ideology behind certain participants in World War II and focuses more on like technology and tactics. And it also brings some interesting stuff to the table. The thing I was not expecting is it does interesting things with the card game, mixing card games with military stuff, in that it has a like frontline mechanic where you have to push your cards forward to be able to attack your opponent's base or your opponent's like health. And certain things like, so you have like a support line and a front line, and you can attack the front line from your support line, but to attack the opponent's support line, you have to hold the front line. There's like artillery cards that can fire anywhere and not take damage back. Airplanes can attack anywhere. Things like tanks can like get deployed and move and attack in this, or not deployed and move attack. They can move and attack in the same turn. So they do some really interesting stuff. They also kind of break the mold of the traditional mana curve, where in most games, like even Legends of Runeterra and stuff, you kind of need like you can't just put like one cost cards in your deck, because if you do that, then you'll be very weak later in the game. Interestingly, with cards, you have to pay for cards when you use them, not just when you play them. Their cost usually changes when you play them. So it might cost 5 to play them, but only 1 resource to use them. But it also means like if you play a Soviet deck, you're actually going to probably have a bunch of low cost cards. And it's not even that you're necessarily going to try to win quickly. It's just that that's how that deck operates. The games are always pretty protracted. But just like certain factions use low cost cards. It is a little weird because when you build a deck, you can use 2 factions, and it doesn't have any restrictions on that. So like the deck I built is a Japanese British deck, which is not particularly accurate.
Not a pairing that's happened ever.
But yeah, it's quite interesting. I totally recommend checking it out. And it's actually, the game is developed by a company called 1939 Games based in Reykjavik that was formed by a bunch of ex-CCP vets. I can't remember who of them it was, but it was a couple of the like key core figures that like took EVE Online from being a kind of crap thing to being such a phenomenon that it became. So it has good folks behind it, and the art is pretty fantastic. It like looks and plays really well. So I definitely recommend just downloading and giving it a shot. It's free to play. So, and you get a reasonable amount of cards for free. So it has a grind mechanic to get more. And I think it's coming out. It's still in early access. Technically, it's fully playable. I don't think they're going to wipe anything, so it may as well be out. But it's coming to iOS this year as well. So I recommend it.
Okay.
It is fun.
That's Kards with a K.
Kards with a K, and you use coins with a K in the as your mana. Okay. It looks like I'm wearing a mask with the way that Alex is using my face as his virtual background now.
Wow.
But the other thing, and then we can. This is not really helpful. This is working without video.
This is very good.
I'm gonna take a screenshot. No, I'm not actually, because my face looks dumb.
Face doesn't look dumb.
No, it did in the screenshot I was about to take. So I tried one time and caught myself at a bad angle, and then I gave up. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to briefly touch on is that Dota Underlords hit its 1.0 this past week, kind of as a surprise. And
yeah, how long has it been out now? Because I know we talked about it last year, but I don't remember when last year.
It's been out for 1 week.
I think it was like July-ish that it launched last year in early access, but it might have been sooner.
Sure.
Like Auto Chess was around for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they were like, hey, we're going to put out Underlords.
Yeah. And it grew a lot in that kind of short time. Like the updates were fast and frequent. So
June 2019, not July.
Okay.
That's close.
Yeah. It's been pretty, rapidly iterated and updated. It's changed a lot since it first launched. It still looks the same. God. It's
That was
Allison also has
just Todd Howard.
I'm trying to figure out
background.
how to flip it around so that
And
the words
then-
are right.
Oh, they're right on our side.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Oh, they
correct.
are?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Allison just rotated her camera like 100 or 360 degrees.
It reminds. There was a very funny. Someone took in
Woo.
the Nevada primary story, and I think it was New York Times. All of the candidates were like spread out on the header image for the article, but all of them were individual HTML elements. So someone started spinning them all and stuff, and it was funny. Anyway, so Dota Underlords has changed a lot. It still is at its core the thing that it was when it launched into early access, but they've done a lot of game flow changes. Like there at the time, like when it launched, every so often you would fight NPC creep enemies to like earn an item. That's gone. Now you just earn items over the course of the rounds, which just makes it way smoother and play faster. They've added modes. They added a short mode that's like 15-minute games called Knockout. If you don't want to sit and play a full game. There's a duos mode, so you can play with a teammate, which is really fun because you can send each other characters and stuff. If you haven't played an auto battler, they're largely inspired by deck building games. I feel. I don't know if the auto chess people would agree because they kind of started it and maybe they've never played a deck building game. But you're dealt a hand of units that you can buy from, and then as you buy more of the same unit, they level up. But when you put the units on your board, they just automatically go and fight the opponent. I feel like they've made positioning matter more with Underlords over time, where it's a little less like it. At first, it didn't feel like the way you set your board up mattered at all because they just kind of randomly ran at the enemy. Now it feels like you can manipulate it a little bit better, but I don't know if that's if that comes from anything real or if that's just me playing it more and getting kind of more familiar with how it with the systems. But the thing that 1.0 really did is it totally overhauled all of the like meta out of game experience. In early access, there was like a version of a battle pass just called the proto pass where you could unlock stuff as you leveled up, but it wasn't particularly robust and it took a very long time to unlock things. So Underlords launched with the battle pass. It's $5. So it's not very expensive, and you can buy 20 levels for $5. 20 levels for 20 levels for $5. So
that sounds relatively similar to how they've handled battle passes with Dota.
Yes, so you can max the battle pass. You can buy it and max it for $25 if you. Yeah. So it's not like a huge, like by comparison.
It's not the worst microtransaction.
No, by comparison, if you were to just buy out the Modern Warfare pass, I think it's like something like $80. You would never need to do that because you get levels pretty quick. Like I maxed out the season 1 battle pass. I bought it halfway in and was out of town for a week, and I still maxed it out. So it's not like it's brutal to max out the Modern Warfare one. So I'm not dunking on them. But with Dota, it does move a little slower with Underlords than other battle passes I've seen, but it's very cheap to buy levels. So it feels pretty equitable. And it's all cosmetic. There's no gameplay. And especially in Underlords, there's really no gameplay advantages you can buy because everybody starts each game on a level playing field. Yeah,
it's a shared pool.
Yep. And then like they've added a ton of cosmetic stuff. Like you can set up your board now. So before it was just you could unlock different boards for your team to fight on, but now you can like put cosmetic items around the board at different spots just to like kind of personalize it a little bit. Some of them even have like emotes, so you can click on them in the middle of a round and it'll shoot a little emote off. There's now you can customize your portrait. Your in-game portrait used to kind of be randomized, and it would say like it would have like a hooded person in like a cloak, because the idea is you eventually pick an underlord for your team. There's 4 of them right now. And so you would be like, you'd like have your hood on and stuff, because it was like, who are you? We don't know which underlord you are. And then by round 5, I think it is, you pick one. So now you have different starting portraits, and there's more portraits that you can set for each underlord. So you can kind of customize your appearance. You can also customize the wording on it. When before it would say like wanted, candy thief, or whatever. Now you can change the text on it with different like cosmetic stuff you unlock. But more important than all of that, the actually like kind of gameplay relevant thing is they have included this whole thing, like almost like a mission board called the White Spire Sprawl or something. And you click into it and it's like a campaign map sort of, where the city of White Spire, which is the city where the game takes place, the concept is like the woman who was like the crime lord that kind of ran the city was murdered. And so now these 4 underlords are vying for control of the city by having these street fights with other gangs. And it's like a map of the city, and there's nodes all over it. And there's 4 districts, one for each underlord. And there's a mix. The nodes are a mix of things. Sometimes they're a street fight where you do a best of 3 against an AI, but like they get kind of hard, and you have to like intelligently pick the right stuff to beat them. And then there's also puzzles where they give you basically a whole pool of characters and unlimited money. Well, not unlimited money, a limited amount of money, but you can freely level up your characters. So you're basically creating a board based on the parameters that they set, but you have a ton of choices. And then your characters have to be able to win the fight in a set amount of time. So those are both single player things that pop up around the city. And when you complete them, you get Battle Pass XP and certain cosmetic unlocks for like kind of building up the city. And the map kind of animates based on how much you've completed. And then there's also just modes. There's nodes where you have to play games and complete a mission playing as that underlord. So you may have to like deal X amount of damage with a certain underlord's ability to clear a certain node in regular games. And those can be games of knockout, duos, or the standard game. And when you're in game and it's time to pick an underlord, you can actually like see if you have challenges active for them when you pick it, so that it's you don't have to like remember what your challenges are, and they're just always active when you play as those characters. So it sounds a little confusing, but it's really interesting, and it's a really cool way to handle objectives and progression. That it's not really that much different than just like a list, but the way they've kind of made it into this sort of interactive, really pretty map of a city that kind of evolves over time is pretty impressive. I think it's really cool.
So do you think
I'm just waiting for Teamfight Tactics on mobile this March? It's coming.
Do you think everything they added to this game, like over the past, I don't know, 6+ months, has made it better, or was it better when it was more pure?
No, I think it's better now. I think it's part of the reason that I think it's better now is I think it's more distinct now. I think it's like it obviously it's still a game where you put characters on a map and they run at the other team and fight. So it's never going to be not auto chess in that way, but it feels like TFT, I think, is very good also, Teamfight Tactics. But Teamfight Tactics they have their unique stuff, but it's very much auto chess. Underlords at this point is the kind of thing where if somebody played the original auto chess mod and said, I hate this, I would say, well, don't play Teamfight Tactics. If you play the original auto chess mod though, and say, I hate this, but I really like the concept, I just don't like that game, I would totally say, check out Underlords, because it's at this point, I feel there's more strategy to it than there is to those other games. TFT has some cool, unique things. And I love the way that TFT looks, and I really like League of Legends characters. So I'm not knocking it at all. I'm sure I'll play a bunch of it on mobile, but I think Underlords is a more satisfying strategic experience, because the way that your Underlord character interacts with the board is huge. Positioning feels more important. And the itemization is better now, I think, to provide a really good power ramp. And as you come to understand characters, items also become super strategic, and in a way that is also true of Teamfight Tactics, but it feels less random in Underlords, the way that you kind of build your team, I guess. I also think that Valve has done a pretty exceptional job balancing the game over time. Like I remember when Hobgen came out, who's like one of the Underlords, earlier on, they first introduced Underlord characters with Anesix, who is like this summoner woman. And then they released Hobgen, who is a like goblin guy, or fairy technically, who uses like fire and explosions, and he's like more of a DPS Underlord. And when they came out, he was useless. Like no one picked him for like a month because he was just trash. And at this point now, like I'm playing through his district in Whitespire and really enjoying playing with him. So I think they've done a very good job of balancing the Underlords. The heroes they've done a good job of balancing them. There's always discrepancies, of course, but overall, I think it's just done nothing but improve, and I expect that it'll continue to improve.
Sick.
That's I don't know what to say about Underlords. I played a little bit on iPad, and I can't keep track of who all these characters are, just because I'm not used to like those silhouettes anymore, or ever really was. So it's like Teamfight Tactics for me is just, okay, I know who everybody is. It's a lot easier for me to keep track of all of them, and like know who is doing what. Becomes so much quicker and easier now. So
yep. And I would probably have the exact inverse problem.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting that people who have played these games take that tact, because I actually think it's kind of it kind of does a disservice, especially with Underlords, less with TFT, but you're better off like not drawing in your understanding of the characters from the games that they're based on. Like,
it's not even that. It's just like it's much easier for me to remember and distinguish like, oh, okay, this is this person. I know what their ability is in this now. Like even it's not the exact same as what it is in, or what I would expect it to be based on my experience playing the game, but I can distinguish out like the silhouettes and things like that. It's much quicker for me to like remember what their Teamfight Tactics like status is, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense. I haven't really run into that as a thing, because so much of the way that the game is designed is like you put like your I'm looking at like synergies and stuff, which it's like, yeah, of course this character is a summoner because they do this in Dota, but there's certain characters where it doesn't necessarily match up anyway. So I don't know. They feel like such different things to me that I don't have any issues. I'm pretty cool with both of those games and just remembering to look at them. But I also don't have their abilities memorized at all. Like there's a few characters that I do, but largely I don't remember, because even though I know some like Dota and League characters, it's kind of like you said, it's like, well, I don't remember if Axe in Dota Underlords, like which one of his abilities translated to his ability in Underlords. And furthermore, for a lot of them, their ability in Underlords is more of a like thematic, like if you combined all of their abilities from Dota into one kind of ethos, that's what they do. And it's not actually their ability in Dota at all. So that's why I kind of just like do my best to remember them, but mostly I'm just looking at them while I'm picking.
Well, we'll see what happens with that as it kind of gets out into the world and more people spend time with it. And You know,
But
what
honestly,
have you?
Hey, that
been
means
pretty
it's in
positive.
it's in consideration for this year's game of the year, isn't it? With a
It's a
1.0?
contender.
Yep.
It's definitely would be high on my list based on what I've played so far this year, but I haven't been that impressed with a lot of stuff this year. So
I've been having that issue too. I've been like, what's in early access? What's coming out? What's new? Is there anything? And I'm just like not seeing a lot. Part of that's like Steam filtering is just bad. But
Oh, it's very poopsy.
yeah.
Oh, 100%.
it seems like there's a reasonable amount of people that think that Underlords has gotten significantly worse and is now a trash game. So
Cool.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
That
totally-
sounds like the Dota community.
Yeah,
so.
I know.
That sounds like every game ever.
I read a few
saw-
reviews that were like, please take out the Underlord system. TFT is better. It's like, well,
Go
that's
play
kind of the
TFT.
whole core of the game. You should definitely play a different game.
What is the name of the
Like-
game?
Well, if TFT is better, why aren't you just going to play TFT?
It's a similar problem where people are complaining about game length, and it's like, play a different game. I don't know what to tell you.
There was, I'm getting a little ahead in the news, but when Activision pulled out of GDC, I saw some comment that was like, yeah, they just don't want to get railed on for making the worst Call of Duty game at
it's so
Infinity
funny.
Ward. It's like,
I'm
really?
still playing the shit out of Call of Duty. Also, the season 2 stuff is so good.
But,
That game is incredible.
It is
I was thinking, like, honestly, that would be my game of the year right now. I know it's not eligible for our list, but for like my personal list, Modern Warfare is my game of the year so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, but in my quest for,
I did play a few games of that Ubisoft auto battler that's also a battle royale. That's
what?
based on the Might and Magic license, which is now at this point just Ubisoft's generic fantasy thing because there's no personality to it. That one is weird.
Okay.
I won't talk about it at length, but it's just like it actually is not. I thought it was like a if you lose once you're out kind of thing. It's not. You have health just like you do in Underlords, and it's just like it's almost like Tetris 99.
It's just
kind of.
You're auto battling against 100 people.
Yes,
or 99 people. Huh.
And the damage just scales harder than it does in other games, so you get knocked out faster. But it's all right. The one thing I think that it has on Underlords and TFT that is super smart is the characters are things like all the like. There's like rarity tiers in these games, so you start off with like common characters, and then as you level up, you can level up to getting legendaries. All of the common through like epic characters are like spear footman and cleric and stuff like that. So it's very like generic. Like the
Spear
characters look good.
Footman is going to be my next D&D character.
That's kind of made up, but the art is actually quite good. But
Spearman.
they're all generically named characters, so it makes it a little easier for recall because it's not like you're trying to remember like who Io is if you have no like familiarity with Dota. Instead, it's like, well, I know what a cleric does, so I can remember that this is kind of what this character does. So in that regard, I actually think it's one of the better introductions to the genre if you're looking for one to try. It's super competent. It's fine. But it's also kind of hard to screw up the formula because there's a lot of blueprints out there, and they really are just doing the same thing as mostly as I think it's hex based like TFT. I can't remember for sure, but anyway, it's free. Check it out.
Speaking of super competent, how are you doing, Andre?
I am neither super nor competent, and
That's not true.
You're both of those things.
Yeah.
Super incompetent, maybe. Oh,
Maybe super
hey, up
incontinent.
top. That's right. What?
Are we clapping again?
No, I'm just giving myself a high five.
30?
Oh.
Anyway, I have been playing in my quest to find something to ease my wary gamer feet, or I don't know, to ease my search. I have been checking out World of Horror through Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox Game Preview program on
I
PC.
gotta install that.
It's so cool
It's
that came to
on
there.
Xbox too, right? It's
I
like
don't
on the
think it is,
console?
but
it's only on PC. Okay,
I think it's only on PC.
it would be rough to play on console Like, I don't think you could, like, in its current state, I would not want to play this on console.
How horrifying is it?
Yeah, like it's like, so World of Horror is like, it's a set in Japan, and it's kind of like it's a run based horror game inspired by the art of like Junji Ito and like a lot of Lovecraft stuff, like Lovecraft themes. And like I had like Old Gods and Eldritch Horror, and I had like what is it, like a status effect that was basically Innsmouth, which gave me gills, but it was like a Japanese version, like Innsmouth. So, you know, they just did like a Japanese version of, you know, a lot of that stuff. And it's like a combination of Japanese like folklore, like spooky folklore, and old gods and cults and yada yada yada. It's all like done, like it's all menu based, basically. Yeah, it's all menu based. It's got like a super retro aesthetic, like it's from like either 1 or 2-bit color, like it's on a really old computer. And basically you're just clicking around in like these menus to decide like, okay, I want to go over here. There's like graphics, but they're all pretty much static and you're not really interacting with the pictures. Occasionally there's like an interactable thing. You're like, oh, I can click this and it'll open a cupboard or something like that. But mostly you're like clicking, I want to go to the school. I want to investigate. And then it'll give you like a scenario where it's like, you walk into the art room and there's a statue and some masks. Do you want to look at the statue? Do you want to look at the masks? And then depending on what you do, there'll be an outcome. Like you'll end up in a combat scenario, or you'll get an item, you'll lose some sanity, or you'll lose a reason, which is kind of like a sanity thing, or you could lose stamina. Who knows? So there are a couple different, like, there are a bunch of different scenarios that can play out. When you first start, you go in, it is like, hey, we recommend you do like the school scissors scenario, which is just like one kind of like story, like one little case. And then it kind of teaches you how to play through that. And that one is like wholly, takes place wholly within the school. And so you're just going around the school and you're finding items, having combat, looking, finding weapons and stuff. And then you have to like solve a little puzzle at the end to get one of several different endings. I've always beaten it, so I've never gotten like a bad ending. I've always gotten the same ending because I've always like, it's really easy to do. But after that, once you get into like the game proper, it'll be like, okay, there's an old god resurrecting and you've got to solve these 5 cases and get into the lighthouse. And so each time you spawn there, or each time you start a game, there'll be like a seed code. So you could like, I guess theoretically give your seed code to somebody else and you could like do the same like spawn of everything. But I'm not sure if that's actually functional right now because the game's not finished, but it does tell you like what the seed code is. And then you've got 5 different cases you can take. And as you do those, you'll get different items and status effects, things like that, which will carry over and either help you or hinder you in your next case. Currently, and I haven't beaten it because either it would crash on me because it's not finished and it's like game preview, or it's just like real tough because like figuring out how to like do combat well, because the combat system is kind of bad, and like managing your stamina and your health because there's not a great way to regain either that, or I'm just bad and I'm not figuring it out. Like you can bathe between and you can be like, oh, I want extra health back, or I want extra reason back and stuff like that. But you lose so much that it's not going to work. So the combat system is you can you'll find weapons or you can buy weapons, but your weapons are like, here's a baseball bat or a hammer. I found a gun once and that was like, holy shit. But then it's only got like a few shots, and then you can like hit people with it, or you can throw the gun, or you can throw any item. But so you can do that kind of stuff. And the way you do this is you've got this little tiny menu. I've got like a pretty big computer monitor, but the menu is very tiny. And you select like, oh, I want to attack, and it'll take time. It'll say like, oh, it'll take 100 units of time or whatever, and you've got 200 like units to spend per round. And so you'd be like, okay, well, I want to prepare my attack so I can guarantee a hit, or I want to like dodge too, and stuff like that. So you're building up, but like the thing that says it guarantees a hit doesn't always hit. And then the dodge is just increases your chance to dodge. So maybe you won't dodge. So you're watching your health go down. You're like, shit, I'm going to die. You can run away. But then it raises like the doom rating. And if the doom rating gets up to 100, then the old god awakens and you lose. If you die, you lose. So there's stuff like that. It's, I think if they tighten it up and, take time to actually complete and like improve that combat system, it could be fine. But right now it's just not fun to do. And a lot of the writing seems like there's pieces missing, kind of. Like you'll just suddenly be in a scenario where like there's a whole like chunk missing between the previous scenario and the one you're currently in, which is odd. So it definitely feels like an early access or a game preview game, but it's not super expensive. I think it's like $15 on Steam, and it's part of Game Pass. And if you're into Junji Ito, Japanese horror, or like Lovecraft stuff, I think it's worth checking out. It's not super scary in my opinion, but
that was going to be my question, because
it's
Junji
creepy.
Ito is genuinely like super like one of those creators that can always kind of both creep me out and be like genuinely scary. So I was wondering if it was up there.
It's very like the art is creepy. You can see the background that I currently have is actually a clip from the game. I've not seen this particular screenshot myself, but so like you can like look out your peephole when you go home, and there'll be like, oh, there's a weird creepy guy on that door over there, and he's just like pulled his head back in and slammed the door shut. Like, okay. Or like, oh, this person's got a freaky mask, or this guy's got long jelly arms.
Or this person's like called the Ribcage Woman.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just the Ribcage Woman. Classic.
Just a Ribcage Woman.
So yeah, it's interesting. I keep going back to it, but I think I should just wait until it's complete because there's a lot of like stuff where like the UI is constant. Like it gets really hard to read sometimes, like just like the style and like it's not unplayable. It's just it could use some polish. So yeah, check it out. If you're interested, but know that it's incomplete and rough.
Right.
Speaking of rough, boy, howdy, the news this week. Am I right,
dude?
Am I right,
dude?
This week was this week PAX is going on, minus several major companies like Square Enix, or at least the Japanese branch of Square Enix. Sony is no longer it did not go to PAX East. Capcom, I don't know, Capcom I think didn't go. Like a bunch of people didn't go to PAX East, but that show still happened. But not happening in 2 weeks is GDC, the Game Developer Conference.
Yep. And I think that's something. Who was on last week? It was Andres, yourself, and Sam and I.
Yeah.
So Allison and Pat, you weren't
Sony,
there. But we talked about it when Sony dropped out, and
Sony and some other people dropped out too, didn't they?
Facebook, but
Facebook, right? Yeah.
And we had talked about like, that seems like it could be setting a trend. Like maybe if more companies drop out, they would think about canceling the show, and how it sucks for indie devs because they save up to go to that. And as it turns out, that's kind of the rhetoric and everything that went on this entire week. Especially
that's definitely what was happening this week.
Yeah,
as Microsoft, Epic, a bunch of other companies, like massive companies, just said, "Hey, we're not going to GDC this year either." That's kind of when more and more people started to pull out, and then later on Friday, the organization running GDC finally said, "Yeah, we're postponing the show, maybe rescheduling to an undetermined date in the summer," which maybe that won't even happen. Who knows? Leaving a lot of devs out to hang who can't refund travel costs and bought tickets and whatnot. The refund period was like February 20th, which I think was the day Sony pulled out. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe that was, I don't know. There was a date and some people were already pulling out around that time. But yeah,
I don't know.
The coronavirus.
I think it was the right move they made.
Yeah.
I think it was almost a little bit too late. Like it seems like it probably should have happened, if not last week, then at least earlier this week. But the fact that it happened at all is probably for the best.
It's interesting because like PAX East is going on, and a lot of those companies who pulled out of GDC are still at PAX East. But like the timing of like how that stuff went down, and as things have gotten worse, like on Thursday night, Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, was like, "We're shutting all the schools down as of Monday." Like, what? Oh, okay. So there's a lot happening really fast with all this stuff because nobody's expected it to kind of spread the way it has. I've seen, there are people talking about like, is this going to affect consoles? Because, we're in the video game space. We should talk about that. I've seen stuff saying Microsoft expects the Surface products to be impacted, but not the Xbox. Or at least that's the implication, is the Xbox won't be impacted by Corona stuff, but who knows? We could see 2021 consoles instead of 2020.
Don't drink the beer. Right? Am I right?
That article was amazing.
That's, that Corona beer is going to be fine because the Fast and Furious movie is going to come out in a few months and everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, Corona." I don't got coronavirus. I got family. I live my life 1/4 virus at a time.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yep.
No joke. Somebody quoted that at a business meeting at work recently.
Like with a chuckle?
1/4 mile at a time.
Or like without laughing.
Kind of like, that's kind of how it works here. Like, kind of seriously.
That's not encouraging at all.
No, it's not.
We live our lives 1/4 mile at a time.
We live our life 1/4 at a time, or did they actually say 1/4 mile?
They said quarter, like it's kind of like that, but like with quarters, like quarters.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not something you should say to the people that work for you. That your future success relies on the next quarter, even if it's true. Should probably work on better messaging.
Because I work there, I'm not going to say anything, but it was a very I was like, huh.
That's how HQ went down. That's how Telltale went down. It's not a good way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot. It'll be interesting to see what happens with other events going forward. Bit Summit is an event that I was looking forward to going to, and that's in May. they have said they plan to have the event, but if need be, they will cancel. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I would like to go to Bit Summit, and hopefully we can, the powers that be can start to get things in control with regards to all this virus stuff. Next news story, a little on the happier side. Platinum Games opens a new studio to make a live service game.
Oh, is that a new thing? Is that tied to
no? So that the GG, like they're doing like a kaiju kind of game, but they're also opening a new studio to work on a live service game for consoles, not PC, I guess.
I mean, not all their games are good, and the way they're like I'm pretty confident in that.
A service game.
That would be fine with me. That's one of their very good games. I don't know. I'm skeptical of anything they do, basically, because
they've always worked in
coin toss,
like kind of like licensed or like not their own stuff.
I mean, Kamiya
which is
pretty,
I think something they've talked about, but
he's pretty proven, so I'm not really worried about. I'm sure that Project GG game will be at least good, but if they're also launching a service, the service game is the one that I'm kind of like, I don't know. There's nothing to suggest that there's a reason to be excited about it, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, but it is like they're kind of striking out on their own self-publishing, I believe,
which is cool. Good for them.
Yeah,
and jobs are good. They're opening a new studio and hiring people.
I believe Platinum's based in Osaka, but the studio is in Tokyo.
Which studio made Let It Die? Was that Grasshopper?
That's Grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I wonder if it'll be
Baby.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be similar to that. Like if it'll be that kind of live service game, or if it will be.
But if you die, Kamiya just blocks you on Twitter.
That sounds great.
Let It Die is a cool game that is like sadly in that space of like, I'm looking at it on Steam right now, and it's all reviews are set at 69%, which nice. But also that's the threshold for dropping it to mixed. So like if it had one more positive review point, it would be considered mostly positive.
Well, and then you could go and you could play it and you could review it.
But I think it illustrates like where that game's problems lie, which is that like it's a very unique and cool thing, and there's not a lot of other games like it. But also, it's janky enough that it's just going to turn a lot of people off who aren't going to be willing to put up with the jankier elements to get to the part where it's got some cool ideas, which is just kind of frustrating, I think.
I never wanted to engage with like the parts of it that were like the service and like the live parts. Like I didn't want to go and like raid people's like bases and stuff. I
like the roguelike-y stuff though, and the combat was like not as good as Souls games, but it had some of that energy and was kind of cool.
I'm just trying to think
and
of
the personality is good.
I'm just trying to think of other platinum-y kind of games that would lend themselves well to like a live service property. Like I don't know, a Bayonetta live service game. I don't know.
That would be so interesting.
I don't know how that would work.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know how that would work.
100 Bayonettas
fall from
on
the sky.
No, they don't fall from the sky because they're riding on 100 fighter jets.
And all of their hair is connected already. Because it's actually just one Bayonetta.
Oh, so it's a Strand game.
Yes.
It's a Strand game.
It's cooperative.
It's a cooperative battle royale.
Cooperative battle royale Strand game. Let's see what are the other buzzwords we can start fitting in.
With AI, machine learning,
and it's VR,
and it's a roguelike.
All in the cloud.
Literally, though, it's not like cloud based. You're on fighter jets, so it's in the clouds.
And also it's Vanquish.
And you can wear sombrero like in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Yes, please.
All right, we're moving on to our next news story. Where there's some good and there's some bad in this story. The good is EA bans abusive FIFA player from all of its games and services.
That's great.
Cool.
A few years ago, I believe, a while ago, they banned this guy Kurt0411, who's for basically saying some really like gross stuff and like threatening people at EA over like some FIFA stuff, and so they banned him from competing or attending any FIFA 20 events. This was back in November, and then since then he has continued to post abusive and threatening stuff towards EA and like personal attacks and whatnot, and encouraging others to do the same. And EA said enough is enough. This guy is banned from everything we do. Hell yeah. Go EA. Finally, they did something we can all get behind.
Imagine when in a week with Iffy News, EA is the one where we're like, yeah, good job, EA.
Yeah.
Like,
fire your customers.
I think
They're bad.
I haven't really been following this story, but I feel like I've seen some reception or like reactions that are like, oh, that's impacting free speech and stuff. But it's EA's house, it's EA's rules.
Also, just like don't be garbage while you play games. The end.
Yeah. Also that. I think it's probably better. It's a better move.
He's his response is, I have never said anything I shouldn't have. So
never ever.
I don't know. Who knows? Soccer violence. But so good on EA. More companies should ban their shitty community members. But
yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's why I'm effectively banning myself from the fixed community as of right now.
Oh no.
I'm just
kidding.
It got sad.
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say looking at you, Twitter, but
damn.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of people who should be fired from their own companies, Riot is back in the news for that lawsuit.
The gender discrimination settlement thing.
Yeah. Remember when we talked about how they settled it?
Yeah, and how we said
like $10 million.
And how we said, oh, that seems like not a lot, and maybe it's just them trying to clear their name, and yeah.
Allegedly, there has been some collusion between the defense or the prosecution. There's been between the representation for the women. There's been some accusations of collusion between Riot and the representation for the women, which resulted in a lower payment, and they may have been entitled to up to 40 times what was settled on.
That's what the state board had said even when the first settlement happened, so it seemed pretty clear.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's also what we said.
Yeah, I was glad to hear that the case was reopened and stuff.
So I think what I was reading, I read it earlier in the week. Maybe I misinterpreted, but it sounded like Riot basically put that prosecutor into place and was like, okay, you're going to handle this for us, and then we're going to settle, and that's going to help our company image a little bit here, because it looks like we've been our image has been kind of suffering here, allegedly, but it would make sense to me somewhat, because again, when we talked about this a month ago, whatever it was, I think we pretty much left it all off with the caveat of, okay, whatever, well and good, but if like this also means like the culture has to change there. Like this can't just be a one-time settlement and it's like nothing changes. This has to be like kind of kicking things off towards a better work environment for people. And it sounds like that's not been the case because collusion.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say like what's going on the ground.
Sure.
And
that's true.
what's like, so that can all be happening. But then, from what I've heard, they have actually put, women and people of color in charge of like all their new projects and stuff. So yeah, this is bad, but also there's some all right stuff happening, like in the trenches at Riot.
Yeah, the last report of like cultural stuff sounded like there are improvements happening, but there are still some dudes there that like just aren't getting it and like still need to change. But this sounds more like the management is shitty and trying to get out of paying what they should.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see what happens with that, and hopefully people get what they deserve.
Word.
Is there any other news that people want to talk about that was not added? Anything important?
I had some pretty good Korean food yesterday.
All right.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Korean food is good.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I forgot. It's time for the latest Destiny update, because they announced they announced the season of the worthy and all the changes.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna phasing out guns. Actually, everything they announced is actually probably good for the game. But
I heard I saw someone basically saying that like the phasing out guns thing ruins the game for them and a lot of people they know who have all quit.
Well, if they've already quit, then why does it matter?
No, I mean like they quit because of the phasing out guns thing.
God,
That's not going to happen for a year.
I thought we were finally getting to my favorite part of the show.
What's that?
Destiny, we're here.
The Twitter questions.
Oh yeah, well I know.
But then Andre was all Destiny.
Oh my god. You know what? No, I was just do a little troll. Yeah, no.
Destiny's a good game. It just seems like
I'm going to wait until those changes go into effect before I talk about them, because I don't know. They could be bad. They could be good. Who knows? Anyway, now to Alex's favorite part of the podcast.
Hey.
Twitter questions. If you would like to have your question read on the podcast and addressed, you can tweet at us at FixPodcasts, or you can email us at gaming@fix.space. Today, our first question comes from @Brock. 2 things: talk the Sega Classic Cool Spot and celebrate the Daytona USA theme song. This is not a question. Does anybody have any thoughts and feelings on Cool
Okay, but
Spot?
I listened to that song after he posted it, and it fucking ruled. That was like...
It rules. We were getting to that, Allison. Cool Spot.
Okay, we can start with Cool Spot.
Cool Spot is fine. I don't know. I prefer watching it being speedrun than actually playing it.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on Cool Spot? No? Okay, Allison, please tell us all about Daytona.
Okay, so just listen to it because it fucking rules.
It's Let It Go. Let's Go Away.
What? Let
Daytona
it go.
USA. Let's Go Away.
It is delightful.
It's very good.
I hadn't heard it until that was posted, and it just made me so happy.
It's very good. All right.
It's pretty dumb. In a good way.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of over the top and delightful.
Next question from @SGCH. What a weird Twitter
Who's
handle. It's kind of
that?
bad, don't you think?
Shush.
They write in asking, who is your favorite Robin? There's no question mark here. No explanation needed if you don't want to.
Oh, much better. Williams.
Okay. Pat?
Wait, tell me the question again. I'm sorry.
Who is your favorite Robin? No explanation needed if you don't want to.
I already answered this question. It's the American Robin card from the board game Wingspan.
Okay. And Allison?
Robin Wright's pretty good. She was in The Princess Bride, which is a good movie. She was in Wonder Woman, which is also a good movie. So
How about you?
I'm going to
Andre?
go with the good old-fashioned Rockin' Robin.
I don't know what that
Rockin'
is.
Robin?
You don't know Rockin' Robin?
Nope. Looking it
What?
up right now.
What the fuck?
This is from 1957, whatever it is.
I told you, good old fashioned Rockin' Robin.
Oh, you're right. No clue.
All right, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some music expert you are.
That is extremely weird that like you haven't heard that song before.
Oh, Michael Jackson did a version of it.
Yeah. Tweet. That's how that song goes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
thanks for that.
next question.
Oh, I've heard this song before, but I didn't know it was called Rockin' Robin.
Yeah. Well, all right. Next, last question this week from @SuperGG Radio.
New members of NPR. Super
NPR
GG.
Illinois. From @SuperGG Radio. What is Gaming Fix's origin story?
We fell into a vat of acid and then came out like this.
Yeah, it's radioactive acid.
Yeah, full of spiders.
I mean, if you're going to be on radio adjacent things, which are podcasts, you have to be in radioactive acid.
Yeah.
We were
we are active on radio.
Yeah,
we were baby aardvarks that fell in a vat of radioactive acid and emerged and fell into a sewer with a thing.
You got this. Perfect.
A platypus raised us. Master podcasting platypus.
Master podcasting platypus. The one we're all so grateful to.
Which Alex does machines.
What?
Alex does machines.
Gross.
Pat is cool but rude. Allison's a party dude. What does that make me?
Look, our dad, Todd Howard, told us.
We were raised in the sewer by Todd Howard.
Yeah, he's like the Splinter.
and a platypus. Like that's how you get both games and a podcast. Is there's the what was his name? Mr. Podcasting Platypus?
Oh, he's a Master Podcasting Platypus.
Master Podcasting Platypus.
That's not his name. Isn't Podcasting Platypus?
No, that's
just his profession.
Name. No, he's Master Podcasting Platypus, and Todd Howard raised us together so that we could be a gaming podcast.
And Andre's hella into pizza.
That's the party dude.
I don't want to talk about pizza. That always ends badly. Let's talk about Destiny again.
Is Raphael?
Does Destiny?
What does Leonardo do? What does Leonardo do?
Does Destiny have a what?
/ pizza.
There's probably a pizza emote.
I don't think there's a pizza emote.
There will be.
You know what the worst part about switching to PC was when they did cross save. I had to get rid of my PS4 save, and I had the ramen emote. It was the first emote I pulled on the PS4, and it was like an exotic, and you make a big bowl of ramen and you eat it, and it's great. And I don't have it anymore. And it hurts me.
Man, ramen. There's a place here that does a tomato soup based ramen basically, and it's amazing. Pat, you should come up. It's vegetarian. It's
Do you see that PF Chang's has a ramen now, but they just put like, here's some raw cherry tomatoes and like
tomato soup ramen sounds good, I guess.
And like some edamame beans, not like edamame, just the beans and
my coworker,
a bunch of other bad things.
There's an extremely good Asian bakery here that I think is a chain called 85C. I had never seen it before, but
that's hot.
It implies it's a chain.
It's very
and
hot. You can't bake anything at 85C.
They have
yes, you could. Yeah, I know you could. No,
they have, that's below. It's
how do temperatures work? Yeah, no, you can't bake anything at 85C.
It's 15 degrees lower than boiling.
Boiling, yeah.
Anyway, they have very good pastries, but also like these sea salt tea lattes. My coworker talked it up all week, and yesterday we went to get some, and then it was weird as hell.
Was there a sea salt ice cream?
No, I wish. Anyways,
salty,
that's how
sweet.
That's basically how Gaming Fix got started.
I want to make. I told my partner that I want to make macaroni and cheese ramen, and she got really offended. And I was like, "What's the problem? It's just a different kind of noodle, basically." And she thought that I meant that I wanted to make soy sauce based ramen, but then also put cheese sauce in it. And I was that
sounds all right.
So you just want ramen
I'd eat it.
with mac and cheese, with macaroni noodles?
No, I want ramen with mac and cheese sauce instead of like
No.
a soup base.
Oh,
Like you could basically make
so you just want to swap the noodles?
Yeah,
Yes, I just want to swap the noodles. That's it.
Yeah, you can make a miso ramen, but swap out the miso for cheese dust, and you're fine.
Yeah, there you go. That's kind of what we're talking about. Yeah.
I would eat it.
But yeah, we got started because we made a Game of the Year podcast and then continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real answer.
We continue to make that mistake every week.
Yeah,
I'm joking. That was a joke. I love the show. I was
The real
kidding.
answer is I was like, what would happen if you got like a bunch of people who didn't know each other together to like make a Game of the Year list? And then I picked these 5 people.
You got really lucky because there were other people in that comment thread that you would not have wanted to talk to. For 5 hours.
I still think about that. How it's kind of amazing that you basically just picked people who were in a Facebook group, and somehow it all worked out really well.
And ended up with people that I really like.
Yeah, I like all of you guys a lot. And
The odds were against you there.
I'm like amazed that it's worked out as well as it has. So thank you,
in
Andre.
the heart of the cards, and that is how we got to where we are.
Yeah. And also a platypus, but yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without our podcasting platypus master, but
yeah,
c'est la vie. That is going to do it for episode 110 of Gaming Fix on February 29th, 2020. We'll be back in 4 years with our next episode.
Yep.
And hopefully we will still be here in 4 years.
Yep, that'll be episode 111. Look out for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's going to do it. You can find me, aka Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite. What did we do? I don't even remember. You can find me on Twitter. It's late. It's 1:15 in the morning. You can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. Alex, where can people find you?
Playing Trophy. I think we're playing the Flatulent Cathedral or something tonight.
Yes. Yeah. The Flatulent Cathedral.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to eat some extra beans in the morning.
The Flocculent Cathedral for those.
Flocculent.
Same difference.
We'll have a full report on it, but that game seems very cool.
By the time
I'm really
we
excited about it.
by the time we get out of there, it'll be the Flatulent Cathedral. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure.
Allison.
For sure.
You can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY. And I should hopefully, fingers crossed, be posting a blog post for my J-pop blog today.
Nice.
And it is going to be an extremely long post. Like right now, I'm still working on finishing it, and it's over 10,000 words.
Nice.
So
that's bad for SEO. You got to like cut 9,700 words.
You know what? I don't know if I worry about SEO with this blog because I don't get many readers.
No, yeah.
But look forward to it. It'll be fun.
Is this because of its 10-year anniversary?
No, actually it's not. Although I did just have the 10-year anniversary. I'm finally hopefully going to finish my top songs of the 2010s list. And I decided, why not make the list 75 songs? And I'm writing about every one of them. So
that's a long list.
It is long. I am right now getting
ordered. Is this like number one is the best song?
It's chronological order.
75 is the worst song of.
No, it's chronological. So it's basically like here's a bunch of songs that came out, and here's how the J-pop industry is changed.
What if they came out on the same album?
I just kind of arbitrarily ordered it because I did have a couple where they came out on the same day. So I was just like, I don't know, I'm gonna arbitrarily order this then.
Okay. Well, looking forward to that. Pat, how about you? Where can people find you?
Find me at PJC Plays.
And you can find the Fix Podcast on Twitter at Fix Podcasts, and wherever fine podcasts are listened to, you can direct your friends there. You can review us on your podcast platform of choice. We'd sure appreciate it if you share us and stuff like that. Thanks for joining me, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
joining us, Andre.
Oh, you're welcome.
Aw.
My presence is a present. Kiss my ass, as Kanye famously said.
Yes, our favorite great thinker of this era,
The cultural touchstone.
Mr. West.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Okay. Woo, motherfucker. I'm still recording.